Owning a home, that's the dream, right? But what if I told you there's a hidden cost, kind of like a ghost in the machine, and it's growing way faster than your paycheck? It's silently changing the entire game of homeownership. So today we're going to pull back the curtain and look at the real price of your house. Okay, think about it. When you're looking for a house, what are the two numbers you focus on? It's always the price tag and the interest rate, right? But what if those are just the tip of the iceberg? What if the single biggest threat to your budget is a number you've probably never even given a second thought? All right, let's dive right in. We're going to start by uncovering this invisible force that's totally rewriting the rule book on what it means for a home to be affordable. For years, the math was pretty simple. You looked at the home price, you looked at the interest rate, and that told you what you could afford. Well, that whole equation, it's broken. There's a new player in the game, and it's completely shattering that old way of thinking. And here it is. We're calling it the escrow burden. Now, this isn't technically part of your mortgage loan, but believe me, it is a huge part of your monthly bill. And it's quietly squeezing homeowners absolutely everywhere. This is the hidden cost that we're dragging out into the open today. Okay, so what in the world is this escrow burden? Well, to really get it, we need to break down the four pieces that make up your typical monthly house payment. So your monthly payment is usually called PITI. PITI. The P and the I, that's your principal and interest. That's the money that's actually going to the bank for the loan itself. But the real story, the part we're focused on, is the T and the I. That stands for taxes and insurance. And get this, these aren't costs to buy your house. They're the costs you have to pay every single month just to keep it. So where does that money for taxes and insurance actually go? Well, it goes into something called an escrow account. The best way to think about it is like a separate little savings account that your lender manages for you. You chip in every month, and then they use that pot of money to pay your property tax and insurance bills on your behalf when they're due. And this right here is the absolute key. Look, when money gets tight, you can cancel Netflix, you can stop eating out, right? You cannot do that with escrow. Your property taxes, your homeowner's insurance, they are totally non-negotiable. You are required to pay them to keep your house, and that's what gives them so much power over your budget. Okay, so we've established it's mandatory, but that still doesn't explain why this part of your payment is suddenly getting so much bigger so fast. So let's investigate the two main reasons why escrow is soaring. All right, reason number one, insurance. It's no secret we're seeing stronger storms, crazier wildfires. All of that means more risk for insurance companies. Plus, the cost of lumber, labor, everything to rebuild a home has just gone through the roof. So what do the insurers do? They pass those costs straight on to you with higher premiums. And where does that increase show up? Yep, right in your escrow payment. And the second big driver? Property taxes. Remember that crazy housing boom during the pandemic? Home values just shot up. Well, your local government noticed, and they reassessed your home's value and then sent you a much bigger tax bill. We're talking more than a 15% jump nationwide in just a few years. That is a massive, massive increase. So now we know why it's happening. But what does this actually mean for people? Let's look at the real-world impact, because this isn't just a number on a spreadsheet. It's creating a serious, painful affordability squeeze. And wow, this really shows you the scale of the problem. We're not talking about a small slice of the pie here. In some places, your escrow payment for taxes and insurance makes up over 40% of your total monthly housing bill. Think about that for a second. For a lot of people, the cost just to keep the house is now bigger than the cost to pay for the house itself. This quote just nails it. It really does act like a hidden tax. Because think about it from a buyer's perspective. You get approved for a certain loan amount based on your principal and interest. You think you're good to go, but then bam, this huge non-negotiable cost gets tacked on at the end, and suddenly your buying power just shrinks. It happens without any warning. Get ready for this number. 1 in 10. That's how many homeowners right now are paying more in escrow for taxes and insurance than they are for their actual mortgage. This isn't some fringe issue affecting a few people. This is a mainstream financial reality for millions of Americans. So who's getting hit the hardest by all this? Well, you've got first-time buyers who are just completely shut out of the market. You've got retirees on a fixed income watching their savings get eaten alive. And you have families whose wages just can't keep up. In fact, the data shows a really clear direct link here. When escrow costs go up, mortgage delinquencies go up too. It's not that people can't afford their loan, it's that they're getting crushed by these other mandatory costs. All right, we've laid out the problem, and it's a big one. So what's the takeaway here? Let's break down what you need to know, whether you're a homeowner or someone making policy. Okay, if you're a homeowner or thinking of buying, the message is loud and clear. You have got to look way beyond the sale price and the interest rate. Your escrow costs are a massive and rapidly growing part of the deal. Now, for policymakers, the perspective has to be broader. This isn't just an individual budgeting problem. This is a community stability problem. Unchecked escrow costs weaken entire neighborhoods and are directly linked to foreclosures and inequality. So, when you boil it all down, it really comes to this. Escrow is one of the most important costs of owning a home, but it's almost always the least visible. It's the one nobody talks about. And our goal here is to change that, to make this invisible cost visible, because you can't fix a problem that you don't even know exists. Hey, if this helped you understand your own housing costs a little better, please hit that subscribe button for more explainers just like this. And maybe even more importantly, share this. Send it to anyone you know who owns a home or is even just thinking about buying one. This is truly need-to-know information. So we'll leave you with this final thought to chew on. Homeownership is supposed to be the cornerstone of the American dream, right? But what happens when that dream starts getting eaten away? Not by something big and obvious, but by its own hidden costs from within. It's a big question. Thanks so much for watching.